The Accountant 2 is a sequel that we have been waiting for nearly a decade, so was it worth the wait? If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on push notifications, but let's get into today's review. The Accountant 2 doesn't pick up right where the first one left off. It actually waits the entire time that it took for us to get the sequel to continue its story, so that's pretty fun. But yeah, so the detective in the first movie, played by J.K. Simmons, is killed off in this movie. They showed that in the trailer, so that's not a spoiler, but Christopher Wolfe teams up with another deputy to take down the big bad of the movie. Jon Bernthal returns as Christopher's brother, which is something that we have been waiting to see for that 10 years since the last movie. I'll be honest, I was kind of worried. I was afraid that this movie was just being made because, like, oh crap, it's been, almost a decade since the first movie and we haven't made the second one yet. We have to make the second one because that's what people have been wanting to see. So I was a little bit skeptical, as if this movie was actually going to be good. I am so happy to say that this movie was very, very good, and I am very satisfied. Dare I say it might even be better than the first movie, but let's get to that later. One thing I want to point out, the title of this movie is hilarious. It's a math joke. It's The Accountant 2, but they're marketing it as The Accountant Squared, because if you do math, The Accountant Squared is still just the accountant, because there still is only one accountant, which is played by Ben Affleck. So that's, a kind of funny joke. The thing I found to be so interesting about the first Accountant movie and what made it so unique and different is that it followed a main character that has autism, as well as OCD, and how those things played into him being such a badass character. Taking down mercenaries left to right, the first movie was so entertaining, so I was very, very, very excited to see what they would do with the second one. And they did a great job continuing the story, as well as just continuing to make it super entertaining. The first movie obviously focused mainly on Ben Affleck's character Christopher having autism and OCD, being an accountant and taking down people. But this movie sort of does something different, and instead of it just being about his autism, it actually puts it on to other characters that help him find people. And I thought that was so cool. Now, yes, the movie does kind of go down that route of kind of just doing unbelievable things like face swapping or face recognition technology. That was silly, and there's a lot of silly stuff in this movie, but I think it really helped elevate the story's, comedy. But the facial recognition stuff is just always kind of unbelievable, and I just, that's not how hacking works, and it's just like they continue to add that in movies, but, it's just a movie, you got to entertain people somehow. So that was probably my biggest gripe. It wasn't even the most distracting thing because the movie was just so entertaining. But yeah, Ben Affleck and Jon Bernthal's chemistry on screen just clicks. It feels so right, and I'm so happy that we finally got to get more of them together in a movie. The action is great. I think Gavin O'Connor, the director, really understands Ben Affleck. He's worked with him quite a bit in his films, and with The Accountant, he did a great job directing that movie, and he continues to do a really good job directing in this one, creating really well choreographed action scenes, and just knowing how to frame shots. He does a great job. It was super fun and entertaining. And like I was saying near the beginning of this video, this actually might be better than the first movie. Now, I don't think personally I like it more than the first. I think the first just has so much originality to it, and it's just such a fun movie to watch that it's kind of hard saying that the second one is better, but the second one is definitely right around the first one being that good of a movie. It's fun, it's action-packed, I actually cared about the characters. It was kind of sad seeing J.K. Simmons only getting a few minutes of screen time because J.K. Simmons is so great and deserves every single second of screen time. But, it just helps push the story forward. I think some things were just kind of brushed over really quickly to start progressing the story along. But, not every movie's perfect, but this one is a really fun time. So if you were skeptical about if The Accountant 2 was actually going to be a good movie because you love the first one so much, I'm here to tell you it is still a fantastic movie. If you love the first Accountant movie, you are going to love this movie. It adds more layers of comedy to it, and it's just, has the same feel as the first one. When I was watching it, I was like, man, it actually feels like I'm watching the first Accountant movie, but there's a new story. Awesome. Definitely recommend to go see this one if you love the first Accountant movie. If you haven't seen the first Accountant movie, watch that, then go watch The Accountant 2. They're fun movies. You'll have a fun time in the theater. I recommend going to see this one. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the video. I appreciate every single one of you. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on push notifications. But remember, your movie moment is right around the corner. See you in the next video.